There are only two types of people in this world, wolves and sheep. The sheep believe the lie that everyone is equal. The wolves know the truth. Some are born to rule, others to be ruled. Machiavelli divided humanity into princes and peasants, predators and prey, the few who take and the many who give. Most people live their entire lives as sheep pretending to be wolves, following rules written by others, seeking approval from those who despise them, and dying with dreams they never dared to chase. But there's another type, the 1% who sees the world for what it really is, a battlefield where only the strongest minds survive. This isn't a feel-good personality test. This is a psychological dissection that will reveal whether you possess the traits of power or the marks of servitude. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which category you belong to, and more importantly, whether you have what it takes to change it. In 1513, while chained in a Florentine dungeon, Machiavelli made a discovery that would terrify the world for 5 centuries. He realized that human beings aren't created equal, not in ability, not in ambition, and certainly not in their capacity for power. This isn't about wealth or social status. History is filled with wealthy cowards and powerful fools. This is about something deeper, the fundamental psychological architecture that separates those who shape the world from those who are shaped by it. Machiavelli identified specific traits that appear consistently in every ruler, every conqueror, every individual who bends reality to their will. These aren't skills you learn in school or inherit from your parents. They're psychological patterns that reveal whether you think like prey or predator. This test isn't designed to make you feel better about yourself. It's designed to show you the truth about your own mind. Some will discover they possess the rare psychological makeup of natural leaders. Others will learn they've been programmed for submission since birth. Both revelations are valuable, but only if you're brave enough to face them without delusion. Before we begin, here's how this works. I'll present you with 10 scenarios that reveal your true psychological nature. Grab a piece of paper, open your notes app, or simply drop your answers in the comments below. But track your responses honestly, A, B, C, or D for each question. Don't lie to yourself. This isn't about what you think you should choose, but what you would actually do when no one is watching. Your gut reaction is what matters, not your moral ideals. At the end of this test, I'll reveal the Machiavellian analysis behind each choice and show you exactly what your answers say about your mind. And here's the real value. If you discover you think like prey, I'll give you the precise steps to develop predator psychology. The difference between wolves and sheep isn't genetics, it's awareness and strategy. So pay attention to your instincts as we go through each scenario. Let's begin. Question 1. The authority challenge. You're in a meeting where your boss makes a decision you know is catastrophically wrong. It will cost the company money and potentially your job. Everyone else stays silent. What's your immediate instinct? A. Stay quiet. It's not your place to challenge authority, and speaking up could make you a target. B. Speak up diplomatically. Find a way to voice concerns without directly confronting the boss. C. Challenge it directly. If they're wrong, they need to hear it, regardless of consequences. D. Let it happen and position yourself to benefit from their failure. Write down your answer. Let's move to the next scenario. Question 2. The loyalty test. Your closest friend asks you to lie to their spouse about their affair. You know the spouse personally and consider them a good person being deceived. Your friend threatens to end the friendship if you don't comply. What drives your decision? A. Refuse to lie. Honesty is more important than friendship. B. Agree reluctantly. You don't want to lose the friendship, even though it feels wrong. C. Refuse, but don't volunteer the information to the spouse either. D. Use this information strategically for future leverage over your friend. Mark your choice. Next question. Question 3. The opportunity assessment. You discover your company is planning layoffs that will include your department. You have inside information that could help your colleagues prepare, but using it requires breaking confidentiality agreements that could cost you your job if discovered. What's your primary consideration? A. Warn everyone immediately. It's the right thing to do regardless of personal consequences. B. Stay silent to protect yourself. You can't help others if you lose your own job. C. Warn only your closest allies, those who would do the same for you. D. Use this information to position yourself as indispensable while others get eliminated. Record your response. Moving on. Question 4. The emotional weapon. Someone is trying to make you feel guilty about a decision that benefits you but disadvantages them. They use emotional language about fairness, loyalty, and moral obligations. Your gut reaction is A. Feel genuinely guilty. Maybe they're right and you should reconsider. B. Feel annoyed. They're being manipulative, but their emotions seem genuine. C. Feel nothing. Their emotional display is irrelevant to the correctness of your decision. D. Feel impressed. You appreciate the tactical sophistication of their approach. Note your answer. Next scenario. Question 5. The alliance evaluation. You're offered a partnership with someone who has resources you need, but a reputation for betraying allies when it serves their interests. The opportunity could advance your goals significantly. Your analysis focuses on A. Their character. You can't work with someone you don't trust. B. The potential gains versus the risk of betrayal. C. How to structure the partnership to minimize their ability to betray you. D. How to position yourself to betray them first, if necessary. Write it down. Continuing. Question 6. The long-term game. You have the opportunity to take a high-paying job that would set you up financially, but requires you to work for a company whose practices you find morally questionable. The position would also give you inside knowledge of their operations. Your decision-making process prioritizes A. Your moral principles. Some things are more important than money. B. The financial security. You need to be practical about survival. C. The long-term strategic value of the inside knowledge you'd gain. D. How to take the job while positioning yourself to eventually expose or undermine them. Mark your choice. Next question. Question 7. The power vacuum. Your organization's leader is clearly incompetent and driving the group toward failure. Others complain privately, but take no action. You have the influence to organize a replacement, but it would require careful political maneuvering and some deception. Your instinct is to A. Hope someone else takes action. It's too risky to lead a coup. B. Try to work within the system to gradually improve things. C. Begin quietly building a coalition to replace the leader. D. Let the organization fail under their leadership. Then position yourself to rebuild it. Record your response. Almost there. Question 8. The human assessment. When you observe people in groups, at work, social gatherings, or public spaces, what do you primarily notice? A. Their individual personalities and the positive aspects of human interaction. B. The social dynamics and how people try to fit in or stand out. C. The power hierarchies and who really controls the group dynamics. D. The weaknesses and insecurities that could be exploited if necessary. Note your answer. 2 more questions. Question 9. The conflict resolution. 2 of your subordinates are in a dispute that's affecting team productivity. Both have valid points, but the conflict serves your interests by preventing them from potentially allying against your authority. Your management approach is A. Resolve the conflict immediately. Team harmony is essential for productivity. B. Try to find a compromise that addresses both parties, concerns fairly. C. Let them resolve it themselves unless it significantly impacts results. D. Manage the conflict to maintain useful tension without destroying productivity. Write it down. Final question. Question 10. The ultimate loyalty. If you had to choose between being loved by many or feared by many, assuming both would give you equal influence, which would you choose? A. Loved. People perform better when they genuinely care about their leader. B. Neither. True leadership shouldn't require either love or fear. C. A combination. Respect is more valuable than either love or fear alone. D. Feared. Love is conditional and temporary. Fear is reliable and permanent. That's the final question. Now count your A's, B's, C's, and D's. It's time for the truth. The Machiavellian analysis. Now I'll reveal what each choice pattern says about your psychological architecture. Listen carefully. This is where you discover whether you think like a ruler or the ruled. Question 1. Analysis, the authority challenge. This question reveals your relationship with authority and your instinct for strategic opportunity. Choice A reveals peasant psychology, automatic submission to hierarchy, regardless of merit. You defer to power even when it's incompetent, making you predictable and controllable. Choice B shows sheep intelligence. You see the problem but lack the courage for direct action. You want to help but fear the consequences of boldness. Choice C demonstrates wolf instinct. You prioritize truth over social comfort. You're willing to face conflict when principles are at stake. Choice D is pure prince mentality. You think strategically about how others' weaknesses become your opportunities. You see failure as a chance for advancement. Question 2. Analysis, the loyalty test. This tests your understanding of power dynamics in personal relationships and how you handle moral compromise. Choice A reveals idealistic thinking. You believe principles matter more than outcomes. Noble but often impractical in the real world of human complexity. Choice B shows classic peasant mentality. You sacrifice your integrity to avoid conflict. You're controlled by fear of abandonment. Choice C demonstrates sophisticated wolf thinking. You maintain moral boundaries without unnecessary confrontation or drama. Choice D is purely Machiavellian. You recognize that information is power and store compromising knowledge for future strategic use. Question 3. Analysis, the opportunity assessment. This reveals how you handle privileged information and personal risk when others' welfare is involved. Choice A is peasant altruism. You sacrifice personal advantage for collective good. Admirable but strategically dangerous. Choice B shows basic survival instinct but lacks strategic vision. You protect yourself but miss the larger opportunity. Choice C demonstrates tribal loyalty and reciprocal thinking. You understand selective alliance building. Choice D is classic princely behavior. You transform others' disadvantages into your strategic advantages with precision timing. Question 4. Analysis, the emotional weapon. This tests your immunity to emotional manipulation and guilt-based control tactics. Choice A reveals dangerous emotional vulnerability. You can be controlled by anyone who understands basic guilt manipulation techniques. Choice B shows awareness but not immunity. You recognize the manipulation, but it still affects your emotional state. Choice C demonstrates true emotional neutrality. You evaluate situations logically rather than emotionally, making you nearly unmanipulable. Choice D is purely Machiavellian. You admire tactical skill even when it's directed against you, showing complete emotional detachment. Question 5. Analysis, the alliance evaluation. This examines how you handle relationships with dangerous but potentially useful people. Choice A is idealistic peasant thinking. You believe character matters more than strategic capability, limiting your options. Choice B shows basic risk assessment. You're thinking strategically but not tactically about betrayal dynamics. Choice C demonstrates sophisticated prince mentality. You assume betrayal and plan defensive structures accordingly. Choice D is advanced Machiavellian strategy. You think several moves ahead in the inevitable betrayal game. Question 6. Analysis, the long-term game. This tests your ability to think beyond immediate moral reactions toward long-term strategic advantage. Choice A is peasant idealism. You let principles limit your strategic options and information gathering opportunities. Choice B shows survival thinking, but lacks the strategic vision to see beyond immediate financial benefits. Choice C demonstrates princely calculation. You recognize information as long-term power more valuable than short-term money. Choice D is advanced Machiavellian strategy. You see how to benefit from enemies while planning their eventual destruction. Question 7. Analysis, the power vacuum. This reveals whether you have the psychological makeup to seize power when it becomes available. Choice A is classic peasant mentality. You see opportunities but lack the courage to act on them, hoping others will take the risks. Choice B shows naive faith in broken systems and gradual change when revolutionary action is required. Choice C demonstrates princely instinct. You're willing to take calculated risks to create necessary change through political action. Choice D is pure Machiavellian thinking. You allow controlled destruction to create rebuilding opportunities under your leadership. Question 8. Analysis, the human assessment. This reveals whether you see the world as it is or as you wish it were. Choice A is peasant optimism. You see what you want to see rather than the power dynamics that actually control situations. Choice B shows social awareness, but limited strategic thinking about how to use that awareness. Choice C demonstrates princely observation. You automatically identify power structures and influence patterns in every group. Choice D is Machiavellian instinct. You unconsciously catalog vulnerabilities that could be leveraged if necessary. Question 9. Analysis, the conflict resolution. This tests whether you understand how conflict can serve strategic leadership purposes. Choice A is peasant management. You prioritize harmony over strategic advantage, missing opportunities to maintain control. Choice B shows fairness-oriented thinking, but misses how the conflict actually serves your leadership position. Choice C demonstrates hands-off leadership philosophy but lacks the tactical sophistication to use conflict strategically. Choice D is pure Machiavellian management. You use conflict as a deliberate tool of organizational control and authority maintenance. Question 10. Analysis, the ultimate loyalty. This is Machiavelli's classic question, revealing your fundamental understanding of human psychology and power dynamics. Choice A reveals peasant thinking. You believe in the fairy tale of benevolent leadership and voluntary cooperation. Choice B shows idealistic naivety. You don't understand that all influence requires some element of psychological pressure. Choice C demonstrates sophisticated leadership thinking. You recognize the complexity of influence and the value of earned respect. Choice D is purely Machiavellian. You understand that fear is more reliable than affection because it's based on self-interest rather than changeable emotions. The scoring system. Now count your letters and see where your psychology truly lies. Peasant psychology, mostly A answers. You think like prey. Your mind operates on moral principles that limit your options and make you predictable to those who study human nature. You seek approval, avoid conflict, and believe the world should operate according to fairness and justice. This isn't weakness, it's programming. Society needs peasants to function, and you've been psychologically conditioned for that role since childhood. Your education, your social conditioning, even your entertainment has been designed to make you think this way. Your strengths, genuine loyalty, moral consistency, ability to inspire trust through authentic goodness, emotional depth that creates meaningful relationships. Your weaknesses, vulnerability to manipulation by more ruthless minds, limited strategic thinking, tendency to be exploited by people who understand your moral buttons, difficulty making necessary but unpopular decisions. The peasant mind sees the world as it should be, not as it is. This creates both your nobility and your vulnerability. Sheep intelligence, mostly B answers. You're trapped in the most frustrating psychological position, aware enough to recognize the game being played around you, but not bold enough to play it effectively. You see problems but compromise instead of solving them decisively. Your mind operates in the dangerous middle ground between peasant innocence and princely calculation. You're too aware to be truly happy as a peasant, but too moral to be effective as a prince. You understand power but can't fully embrace it. You compromise when you should stand firm, hesitate when you should act, and seek middle ground when situations demand clear choices. This leaves you perpetually unsatisfied, not innocent enough for peace, not ruthless enough for power. Your path forward requires choosing. Embrace peasant simplicity and find peace in moral clarity, or develop princely ruthlessness and accept the loneliness of leadership. The middle ground offers neither peace nor power. Wolf instinct. Mostly C answers. You think strategically and understand that the world operates on power dynamics rather than moral principles alone. You're willing to take calculated risks, make difficult decisions, and prioritize results over popularity. Your mind recognizes that competence matters more than compassion in positions of authority. You can inspire loyalty through demonstrated strength, rather than requiring it through manipulation. You understand that being hated for doing the right thing is often better than being loved for doing nothing. You have natural leadership instincts and the psychological strength to handle conflict, responsibility, and the isolation that comes with making unpopular but necessary decisions. Your advantages: strategic thinking, emotional resilience, ability to see situations clearly without wishful thinking, natural authority that others recognize and respect. Your limitations: you still operate within moral boundaries that may limit your maximum effectiveness in truly ruthless environments. You have princely instincts but peasant restraints. Prince mentality, mostly D answers. You think like a natural ruler. Your mind automatically calculates strategic advantage in every situation. You understand that power is the ultimate currency and that moral principles are tools to be used when they serve your interests. You see the world as Machiavelli saw it, a place where the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must. You're psychologically capable of making decisions that others couldn't live with, and you maintain emotional equilibrium because you understand the difference between necessary action and unnecessary cruelty. Your mind operates on multiple levels simultaneously: immediate tactics, medium-term positioning, and long-term empire building. Every interaction serves strategic purposes across these timelines. Your advantages: advanced strategic thinking, emotional immunity to manipulation, ability to make hard decisions without guilt, natural understanding of human psychology and motivation, capacity for long-term planning that others lack. Your potential dangers: isolation from genuine human connection, moral flexibility that could lead to unnecessary cruelty, tendency to underestimate the value of authentic relationships, risk of becoming the monster you started by fighting. You were born to rule. But remember, even princes need kingdoms worth ruling and people worth protecting. The transformation blueprint. Here's what you came for: how to change from prey to predator, from peasant to prince. But understand this: transformation requires sacrifice. You cannot become powerful while remaining comfortable. For peasants, developing strategic thinking. If you scored mostly A's, your transformation begins with brutal honesty about human nature. You must accept that the world operates on power, not principles. Phase 1. Reality recognition. Start observing power dynamics in every situation. Who really makes the decisions? Who influences the influencers? Stop seeing what you want to see and start seeing what actually exists. Phase 2. Strategic silence. Stop revealing your thoughts, feelings, and intentions to everyone. Information is currency. Stop giving it away for free. Practice emotional neutrality in conversations. Phase 3. Calculated risk-taking. Begin making small decisions based on strategy rather than morality. Not cruel decisions, strategic ones. Choose battles you can win. Speak up when you have advantage, not just when you have principles. Phase 4. Alliance building. Identify who has power and what they need. Build relationships based on mutual benefit, not just mutual liking. Become useful to dangerous people rather than avoiding them. For sheep, embracing bold action. If you scored mostly B's, your transformation requires choosing decisiveness over diplomacy. Phase 1. Decision acceleration. Stop deliberating endlessly. Make faster decisions with less information. Perfect choices are imaginary. Good choices executed quickly beat perfect choices delivered late. Phase 2. Conflict acceptance. Accept that conflict is inevitable and often productive. Stop avoiding necessary confrontations. Practice direct communication without softening language to avoid hurt feelings. Phase 3. Strategic positioning. Stop reacting to events and start positioning yourself to influence them. Think 2 moves ahead in every situation. Ask, how does this serve my long-term interests, before acting? Phase 4. Loyalty calculation. Evaluate relationships based on reciprocity, not just affection. Invest more in people who invest in you. Reduce investment in people who drain your resources without return. For wolves, sharpening instincts. If you scored mostly C's, your transformation is about removing remaining moral limitations. Phase 1. Emotional immunity. Develop complete immunity to guilt manipulation, emotional blackmail, and appeals to fairness when they conflict with your strategic interests. Phase 2. Information warfare. Master the art of gathering intelligence while revealing nothing valuable about yourself. Learn to extract information from conversations without others realizing they've been mined for data. Phase 3. Preemptive striking. Stop being defensive and start being preemptive. Identify potential threats and neutralize them before they become actual problems. Act before you're forced to react. Phase 4. Empire building. Think beyond personal advancement toward creating systems and structures that serve your long-term vision. Build institutions, not just relationships. For princes, maintaining humanity. If you scored mostly D's, your challenge isn't developing power, it's wielding it without becoming a monster. Phase 1. Strategic compassion. Learn to show mercy when it serves your interests and inspires loyalty. Cruelty without purpose is weakness disguised as strength. Phase 2. Legacy thinking. Consider how your actions will be remembered and what kind of world your methods create. Build something worth ruling, not just something you can control. Phase 3. Selective vulnerability. Identify trustworthy allies who can provide honest counsel and emotional support. Even princes need genuine relationships, just very few of them. Phase 4. Principled ruthlessness. Develop clear principles about when to use extreme measures and when restraint serves better. Channel your capabilities toward worthy goals, not just available targets. Universal principles for all types. Regardless of your starting point, certain principles apply to anyone seeking to develop strategic thinking. Master emotional regulation. Your emotions are information, not commands. Feel them, analyze them, then choose your response based on strategy, not impulse. Develop information discipline. Control what you share and with whom. Become a collector of intelligence while revealing only what serves your purposes. Practice strategic patience. Think in years, not months. Build slowly and solidly rather than quickly and carelessly. Most people's impatience is your opportunity. Study power dynamics. Read Machiavelli, but also study modern leaders, successful businesses, and political movements. Understand how power actually flows in the world. Build systematically. Create systems and processes that work without your constant attention. Build institutions, not just personal relationships. The final choice. This test revealed your current psychological makeup, but it doesn't determine your destiny. You can choose to develop strategic thinking while maintaining your humanity. You can choose to see the world clearly while still working to improve it. The difference between a peasant and a prince isn't cruelty, it's clarity. The prince sees reality without illusion and acts accordingly. The peasant sees the world through wishful thinking and suffers accordingly. But here's Machiavelli's deepest insight. The goal isn't to become more ruthless, it's to become more effective. Sometimes that requires hardness. Sometimes it requires mercy. The prince knows the difference because the prince studies results, not intentions. Conclusion. Machiavelli wrote the prince not to create tyrants, but to reveal the psychology of power that already existed. He understood that some minds naturally grasp strategic thinking while others operate on moral instinct, and that both types are necessary for civilization to function. The test you just took isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. You cannot change what you don't acknowledge. You cannot develop abilities you don't recognize you lack. And you cannot defend against psychological manipulation if you don't understand how it works. If you discovered you think like a peasant, You now know why certain people seem to control your life, while you struggle for scraps of approval and recognition. If you discovered you think like a prince, you now understand why others seem naive and why leadership feels natural to you. But knowledge without application is worthless. The question isn't what category you belong to. It's what you'll do with this information. Will you use it to develop strategic thinking for worthy purposes? Or will you use it to become another predator in a world that has too many already? The choice, as always, belongs to you. But you can no longer claim you don't know the difference between predator and prey, between ruler and ruled, between those who shape reality and those who accept whatever reality is given to them. Machiavelli's greatest gift wasn't teaching people how to be cruel. It was teaching them how to see clearly. And clarity, more than kindness, is what separates princes from peasants. The test is over. Your transformation begins now. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are, and those few will not dare to oppose themselves to the opinion of the many. Drop your results in the comments below. A, B, C, or D majority. Let's see how many wolves are hiding among the sheep.